Welcome to Nita Bisita. To the west of us in the eastern part of Siberia in Russia is one of the natural wonders of the world. A lake that's 400 miles long, 35 to 40 miles wide, 1 mile deep, and contains 1/5 of the Earth's fresh water. I was in the company of conservationists and environmentalists about 10 years ago when we visited the lake, the oldest in the world. When we reached the middle of the lake, the captain of the hydroplane leaned over the side with a pitcher which he filled with water for us to drink with our lunch. Everyone was excited and impressed. The water in the oldest and largest lake in the world was pure enough to drink, even though it was being fed by over 325 rivers. It was the first time other members of the delegation had drunk water directly from its natural source. It was not a new experience for me. We used to drink water right out of the Lonefit River when I was a youngster. Water, water, water. Heaven knows we get lots of it on Guam. So we went into the jungle in south central Guam, up and down, hills and mountains. We followed the streams and tributaries that feed the reservoir below. It was a truly uplifting experience to see Guam's natural beauty, reminiscent of the way it was through most of our island not so many years ago. On our way back, we ran into growth naturally found near old settlements. There were these ilang-ilang with their intoxicating fragrant blossoms, lots of betel nut trees, and a scene you seldom see, coconut trees covered with ivy. No, not ivy. These trees are covered with pupulu. How do I know? Because there was a time in my childhood when gathering pupulu and betel nuts for my elders was one of my additional duties. I know pugwa, I know pupulu. We emerged from the jungle and found our way to this magnificent reservoir at Fena, the source of millions of gallons of water which run into our pipelines every single day. When it was completed by the Navy about 45 years ago, it was an engineering marvel then. It is an engineering marvel today. And the Navy has kept it in pristine condition. A variety of fish species now populate the reservoir, and limited fishing is allowed. These chain link fences were built to provide tight security for bullets, very small and very large, to serve the needs of the Department of Defense in our half of the globe. But these fences and the patrols on the perimeter did a lot more than guard ammunition to meet periodic needs in time of war. Of more special significance to us is the fact that these fences protect the reservoir and the source of much of its water for our daily needs in time of war and peace. When the fences went up about 50 years ago, it inadvertently sheltered another natural resource on Guam, the beloved carabao, without whose enormous strength pulling plows and carts during World War II would have made life more miserable than it was. Although they have been living unimpeded in their natural habitat for decades, they have remained essentially non-hostile, but very protective of their calves, which they surround when you approach them. During the waning days of the Japanese occupation, we released much of our livestock when we were herded to concentration camps. Apparently, the stray carabaos joined with those from the pastures of other farmers and became the nucleus of the herd as it is today. It is estimated that about 350 of these magnificent animals graze around the compound to keep the grass short, but refertilizing it as well to keep it growing. Nature at its finest. Perhaps it's poetic justice, or perhaps just plain luck. But remarkably, these fences, which were erected to protect weapons in reserve, also made it possible for us now to have Guam's finest preserved. The immediate challenge for all of us is what to do with our water resources after they leave our reservoirs, particularly during the dry season. While the ancient mariner was referring to seawater in that rhyme we had to learn in high school, one verse is particularly fitting as a precaution. Water, water everywhere, and all the boards did shrink. Water, water everywhere, but not a drop to drink. And finally, speaking of drinking water, we too still have pure water that's good enough to drink as it flows, and it tastes better than the water on Lake Baikal in Russian Siberia. Mamis lau eji and magosa, lau malai lai ipu wafena. This is Ben Blas. I'll see you next week.